Hey guys, I've had a lot of people asking about the base box in the Kung Fu Panda event and the base to see if they should buy it or not. Bases are tricky, it's kind of specific to the person, but I'm going to try to give an overview here so you could make an educated decision and go from there, and I'll try to give my tips as I see them. I'm not always right, but this is how I would play it and how I have been playing it. So if that matters at all to you, that is good. Um, First, let's start with the base at the top there, the Jade Palace. It's a good base. If you don't have a base you primarily use, it's definitely a good base to use. It is not the best base that's recently been offered. I think just as a to hold, to wear, or as a holding in stock base for that matter. I personally prefer the Icy Snowtown base to this. I think the universal damage increase is better than the attack and HP boosts you get with this base. For cross Warzone events, I prefer Pantheon if it applies to that event. And then the Titan Canyon bases, especially the second and third one, are better than this for that event. So it's a good base if you don't have a base, but like it's not the best base. It is better than Shatterdome to equip if you're using Shatterdome. The only difference between this and Shatterdome is that this does not have the 20% training boost, and its holding and stock stats are not as good, but it is more attack and HP. The skill is the exact same as Shatterdome. So if you have Shatterdome and you only use it for the skill, getting this base is probably not necessary for you because the skill is the same. It's mutually exclusive, so you can't use both in the same day, and they cool down the same. So same as Arc, Shatterdome, and this base, it's the same skill. If you don't have it, that would be a reason to get this base, and that's like a 60% attack boost for you basically, and a 20% attack boost for your allies, and it lasts for 15 minutes. But beyond that, so if you're not getting that base, or if you got the base and you're going to go get something else, let's go into the base box. With the base box, it's also tricky. It kind of depends where you are in the game and what you're trying to do and what you already have. But I'm going to give you a basic rundown of, my preference for the bases. First off, I think the base you actually end up using the most out of these is actually Super Miner, which gives you 50% gathering speed, 50% gather load, and 20% gold increase. When you equip it, you only have to equip it to send your gatherers out once you're, past the levels where you need gold. I don't remember the last time I've actually been like, oh, I need gold. So, the gold production increase really doesn't matter that much, but you equip it, you send out your gatherers, and then you can turn it off and put on whatever base you want. But I use it multiple times a day because I gather in facilities, and it definitely increases the production of my gathering. So I think it's a great base to have. I think it speeds up your progress significantly because your farming is so much more effective. And despite the fact that the game is called Top War, we know it's usually just Top Farmer. So I think Super Miner is a great base to get if you don't have it. My next tier of bases to get, it includes 3 bases, and I think at different levels they would be in a little bit of a different order and depending on what event you have coming up, but I'll talk about all 3 of them now. Acadia I really like because it gives you march size, some attack and HP boost, and not as an equipping base, but as a holding in stock. But the skill is very nice. It gives you a plus 10 march size for 30 minutes every day. It's really, really effective when your march isn't as big, because when you have 100 units and you can take that to 110 in a march, that's like a 9% increase. If you have 200 units and you're taking it to 210, that's only like a 4% increase. So it's not, as significant at that point. But I think it's very significant with smaller march. It lasts for a good 30 minutes. So you could be, in an event, and half the event it would apply for a lot of them, like Titan Canyon and SVS. So I think it's a good boost. and it really helps. The second one I recommend in that tier is Storm Factory. I love Storm Factory for a few reasons. One, it's not to be overlooked that you get capacity in your garage, dock, and hangar from it. As your marches get bigger, you are going to want to have more capacity because it really helps to have more troops already lined up before you go into battle. And, you can send out 2 or 3 marches rather than just one. It's a bigger problem, I think, for Air Force and Navy people than for Army people, but still, the capacity really, really helps. But on top of that, it's got a very nice skill which allows you to do this thing called harsh teleport. It's 3 free teleports every day, and after you teleport for 5 minutes, you get a 30% attack and HP boost. That's really helpful, especially in like Eternal Land where you don't have a lot of teleports. Now, this does not work in Titan Canyon, the teleports, so keep that in mind. But in Eternal Land, it's huge. In SVS, it's a little bonus, and especially because if you're going to go fight somebody big, it helps to have a little bit of that 30% boost after you teleport near them. The third base that I really recommend in that tier is Shadow Dragon. I like Shadow Dragon. Again, it's got the +1 march size for holding in stock, and its skill, albeit a short-term skill for 3 minutes, is a 30% damage increase, which is huge. Especially early in the game, 30% damage increase can be like going from 150 to 180. That is huge for a lot of people. And it's got a 12-hour cooldown time, so you can use it twice in a day. Dragon's Breath is the skill here for Shadow Dragon, and I think this skill is the most effective base skill in a battle. Like, it can really push you over the top in that fight against somebody. And if there's a minute left to take a building or something, and you really need that boost, it's huge to either, push yourself over the edge or hold on. And you can use it twice a day, so it's really nice. Those are the 3 bases in that tier that I would have. After you've gone through those 3 bases, I recommend, it gets a little dicier, but I think Flying Castle has some very good uses. It's holding in stock is the 10%, 10%, and then the decreased damage. The skill is nice, particularly in Eternal Land and stuff. It does work in Titan Canyon as well, and it's basically a 75% march time reduction and a 20% attack boost on that march when you use it. So it's basically like a march speed up. It's really good for chasing trucks in Eternal Land. But also, sometimes you're far away or something and you need to hit a building quickly before somebody can refresh their march. You can hit the attack button, get the 75% reduction. You don't use speed ups to do it, just the one time. And you get a 20% attack boost on it. It's very effective in that way. I like it for that reason. The other base there is Atlantis. Atlantis kind of makes a mess on your screen because it gets all wet, but that's all right. It's got a 1% damage increase, and it gives you a 30% attack buff just for you and your allies, and a 30% HP buff just for you. And it's for 10 minutes, and it can be used once a day. Again, it's not as significant, I feel, like a Shadow Dragon or something like that, but it's still a good boost, and, it helps you, and the skill is nice to have. But I don't consider Atlantis to be as important as the other ones because I don't feel like it's enough of a boost as you move along. Early on, it will really help you, though. Then 2 bases that I do recommend people get, but maybe not right away. And it kind of depends on how you're playing the game and, how dedicated you are and things like that and how much you contribute. But Pretty in Pink and Out of the Blue are almost the same. One has a damage increase, one has a damage decrease. The skill's the same for both as well. You'll send a gift to a friend, and you will both get either a loving heart or a virtuous flower. This gift is very nice that it gives the person who gets it 30 vit, and you will get 30 vit for it. You can use it when you want to. So effectively, you can give and receive 60 vit every day. If you have a friend that you exchange with, that's 120 vit every day. And, over time it adds up, and you go into big events with an extra, backups stash of it. Then I look at Rise Above the Flames, which again has a damage increase. The skill here is this Revitalize. You get a Heart of Flames, which gives you one of 5 things. It's a Burning Feather, which is a decor, which gives you HP. Emerging Phoenix, which is a decor, which gives you attack. 5 gold chests, +1 unit choice chest, or 100 gems. You get that once every day. So it's not bad. It's a little boost for you. Phantom Ship is similar. It gives you 1 to 3 relics in deep sea chests, and the relics are the Mermaid decor, the Shining Gold chest ×3, 100 gems, a unit choice chest, or a small Vit potion. Both of them are somewhat similar. That, their big boost is that, that you collect one of those items every day. This Phantom Ship does give you some dock capacity as well, which is nice. After that, I look at 2 other bases that I really want to mention. One is Crystal Cabin. A lot of people tell me how much they want Crystal Cabin, and honestly, until they get a lot of the other bases, I discourage them from getting it. Crystal Cabin is a good base, but the problem is, who is it a good base for? The skill for Crystal Cabin applies to all your marches. Whenever you send out a march, it applies, and as you can see there, it rushes for 5 grids, which is a very short distance, about, 3 or 4 seconds worth of march on the map. That'll just be skipped. And it's a 10% attack on the march as it goes out, not on the way back. And Crystal Cabin is really good because in SVS a lot of times, or even in, Eternal Land, when you're in close range, you'll try to attack someone and they'll teleport away or they'll run away. This kind of eliminates that. Like, you can teleport close to someone and be on them right away. There is like a 2 to 3 second minimum march time, which has to be there, but you'll just see your march queue like on top of the person's base for those 2 seconds. So it makes it much easier to hit people, especially in SVS. The reason I don't recommend it for everybody is you really only need this if people are actually running away from you in SVS. I mean, if you're attacking people and they're sitting there and waiting for you to hit them, you don't need to speed that process up at all, and the 10% attack boost is not that significant. You would probably be better off with one of the other bases. It really is only effective if, you're having that problem that when you go to attack someone, they run away. So it's very effective for people who need it. And for people who don't need it, I think it's kind of like a thing people like to say they have, but don't really need it. So I would recommend doing something else. The other base that I think I put a little ahead of the others on here is Lucky Dragon, only because it gives you a +2 march size for holding in stock. So I kind of like that, and I think that might be a way that I go here in the near future. But other than that, you have to look at which base it is. So if you have all of those bases, then now you're just looking at, extra bonuses. Like there's a +1 march size on these 2. There is a few bases like the Fan Club, which has a repair factory size increase and, capacity of the garage, dock, and hangar. Training base allows you to train an extra 10 units instantly, which is nice, some of them have specific Army HP and then defense like Dragon's Maw, or Navy HP like, the Whale base. Floating Coliseum has Air Force HP. Sandstorm has Army HP. I think these are like later on bonus bases. Necropolis gives you a small gathering speed boost and capacity, so that's not bad. But for those, I think then you got to start to look at, what your march types are, what you're trying to achieve, because some of them will do different things. I do like Sizzling Factory a little bit. I think that critical damage and that march size isn't bad. So that's a rundown in order, kind of the bases that I like in this box and the ones that I don't think are as effective. But you might be at that point where that's the base you want to get. But then look at what you're trying to do. Do you need a bigger march? Do you need more units in your base? Because some of them do give you, more storage or more room in your repair factory, whatever that is, go for that. But that's my basic base box rundown, and I hope it helps you guys. And of course, everybody please like and subscribe